Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to dive into today's conversation with Olguta Goddard. I fell in love with her incredible work on Instagram a few years ago, and I am so excited to connect with her and chat all things maternity. She's a fine art maternity photographer based out of San Diego, California, and specializes in fully styled maternity sessions. She's been in the industry for almost 10 years and aims to bring whimsy and ethereal elegance to her client images. When not behind the lens, she is a mama to 2 crazy boys, a wife to a prior Marine, and loves adventuring. Without further ado, here is Olguta. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
So tell us who you are and really what you're passionate about.
Yeah, so I'm Olguta. I am based in San Diego, like Lisa mentioned, and I'm a maternity photographer. And it feels kind of wild to just say that that's all I do, but that's all I am currently working on. Over the years, or I guess initially I had started off kind of shooting a little bit of everything like most of us do. And just kind of as time went on, I found my heart was really drawn to just maternity photography. Which is, I think, is amazing. It kind of condenses all of your energy into what you love to do the most. And for me, that really has kind of propelled my work. And it's a good feeling to really just do what you love. And it's okay to just say, I just do this, or I specialize in this. But for me, it's amazing. So it's been a lot of fun.
I love that. So because you specialize in maternity photography, can you really share your why and dig into why you love it so much and why you chose to specialize in it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I always love hearing people's kind of how they got into it. So for me, it ended up kind of going that route and specializing in it. It was more of a reflection of what I was going through personally. So we had a long infertility journey with getting my boys. We struggled for 7 years, and for the longest time I was kind of yearning for those photos you would see all over social media, and kind of that experience that you would always hear people sharing, their photographer and their locations and their dresses, and as a photographer myself, capturing those moments for other people when I wasn't getting that opportunity. I was celebrating with them, and obviously I was truly, genuinely excited with them, but I was like, dang it, when is it my turn? So it was so fun, when I finally got that chance, and I realized, wow, this is what I've waited forever for. All those days I used to wish for that day, here it is. And I realized how truly special that opportunity was, and that it was never a day I was, potentially it was never going to happen. So getting that opportunity, I realized this is what my heart is drawn to, celebrating that moment, because it was never guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed for me, and it's not guaranteed for my clients. So I really kind of used my journey and the heartbreak of the losses to celebrate that amazing moment. So for me, being able to kind of do that for my clients, a lot of them have gone through IVF struggles. A lot of them have waited for this baby a long time. And here we are, and dang it, we're going to do this big. So it's been fun to kind of be the driving force for them, and kind of navigate that for them, just knowing how special that chance is.
I love that so much. I don't know if you know, I'm an IVF mama as well.
You are?
I am.
Oh, it is so special. That's what always touches my heart. I'm there's no guarantee that me and these clients were ever going to meet. And here we are. And I always tell them, we're going to end this session with you in a ball gown in the ocean, because we waited a long time for this chance. And we may not get to do it again. So this is it. When in Rome, we're doing all the things.
Exactly. So I love that.
It's so special.
It becomes a celebration for your clients.
It really is.
I love that. So you don't do newborns. So I don't do newborns. I am a maternity, same journey. That's why I love maternity. But I love newborn too, because of that.
I love newborns, and I used to photograph them, but after having my boys and as they got older, kind of just mom life had to pivot a little bit. I'm I just don't have the time to dedicate big blocks of time away from my kids while being able to help in your classroom and go on field trips. So no, we just do maternity, and that is so good.
I love it. So when you're working with a maternity client, and they obviously would fall in love with you, do you get a lot of questions? Can you do my newborn too?
They do ask. They definitely do ask. And I just have lots of friends who are an amazing network of photographers locally. And I'm let me just send you over to my friends who are amazing at that. And we kind of developed a really great partnership where we kind of refer to one another. I have some photographer friends who don't do maternity. They just do newborn. So it's kind of the same but different, and it really has kind of helped expand the network locally and being able to refer to one another, and clients know that we trusted each other with, the referrals. So it's worked out just fine. It was scary. I will tell you, it was scary to drop that and just do one thing. It was scary to drop my family fall sessions. I kind of transitioned to just doing maternity by dropping little things one at a time. But, clients understand. They see what you're passionate about. And as scary as it is, at the end of the day, I think most of them still support that. And though they're bummed, they still kind of cheer you on to your journey. So it all works out. It was a bigger deal in my head, kind of anticipating, oh my gosh, I'm going to break all these people's hearts, or I'm not going to see my babies, all these babies, in their sessions. And I did just recently actually offer a styled mommy and me session because I wanted to see all my babies back. And that actually has been really fun. It still gives me the opportunity to really dress them up and celebrate them. And here was this baby when I last saw them. They were in your belly and now they're in your arms. And so that's been fun to kind of explore. But that's super brand new, so we're just going to skip right over that. But yeah, it all works out. It really does.
I love that. Yeah. I've been in a bit of a process where I've been stripping away things and really deciding that I want to just niche as maternity newborn. Right. And it has been really interesting how just the process, because you think it's scarier than it actually is. And the support of your clients are wow, good for you, just deciding to do what you love. That's fantastic.
I think our creative hearts do want to kind of do everything and please everybody and kind of expand as much as we can. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is just as important as what your clients want you to do.
Exactly.
So, and that kind of reflects in your work, I feel, too. So it works out.
It's so true. It's so true. Because you can tell you absolutely love what you do. And it does come across in your work.
I hope so.
So
Thank
do you find when you have a session with a client, are you going to multiple locations? Are they specifically doing the beach? How do your sessions run?
Yeah, so I offered a few different packages, but they are specific to one location, just to kind of allow us to capitalize on that perfect time of day, the good lighting. So I offer studio session outdoor, which ends up being more woodsy, and then I offer beach sessions. Yeah. So they get to pick depending on what they're kind of most drawn to, the style or the locations that kind of speak to them. Being that I'm 3 miles from the beach, a lot of them do kind of end up defaulting to that. But I get a good mix either way, which is really fun for me because on Sunday I had 3 sessions. I went from woodsy to the studio to the beach. So I get to kind of get me out and about. But it's really fun being able to kind of change it up constantly depending on what their vision is for their session.
Love that. Now, when I was doing my research on you, I love that you have a section on your website for a model search. I thought that was absolutely genius. So how often are you doing personal projects versus client work or using your models?
Yeah, so I do mostly client work, of course. But I do work with designers. For example, I shoot new lines or new gowns. Or I just have personal project where I just want to get out and shoot, if I have a break in my schedule. Or really, even if I'm just kind of feeling burnt out, funny enough for me, what I find I need to do when I kind of get that feeling, that feeling. We all know that feeling.
The burnt out, not inspired feeling, 100%.
So for me, as much as I want to lay on the couch and veg out, that is always a sign to me that I need to get a model and I need to take them into the woods or go somewhere, grab my favorite dress and just do something with a model, because I find that obviously you still want to provide the model with beautiful images, but you don't have that same pressure to perform for a model as I find you do for a client. Especially if you tell them, hey, I have this new creative project I'm working on, or I have some new things I want to try. They're completely open to it. They're not expecting anything specific out of you. And it just makes them so much more willing to kind of do anything and everything. So whenever I get into that rut, getting a model out there really helps out. So it's nice to have that collection of models who have applied. And I leave it on my website just because you never know who stumbled across your website. They may not be able to afford me, for example, but they say, you know what, let me just throw my name in the hat. And so I'll have some people who inquire, and they're only 8 weeks along. So now they go into my database, and whenever I have something come up, I can go in there and take a look to see kind of where they're at with their due date, take a look at photos, learn a little bit about them. Sometimes they'll apply, and I'm like, you know what, I was just going to post a model call, and boom, there it is. And it just kind of works out magically that way. But it's really nice to have it at the fingertips and not have to post in mom groups or not have to post, social media. as that tends to kind of not devalue, but when you're constantly posting for model calls, I find people are always like almost waiting, especially when, like in my case, I just do maternity. I find that people kind of like cover they're waiting.
Yeah.
And so it's from a business standpoint, it's nice to just kind of have that option to take a look and see if there's someone that fits what my vision was for the model call and not have to post it.
I love it. Well, I actually went, I was like, I'm in the process of redesigning my website, and I sent it to my designer, and I was like, this is absolutely brilliant. Can we do something like this?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So it's so genius. So can you share a little bit about your session process when it comes to makeup and hairstyling and dress styling? What methods do you use so it works all together?
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love it. So all my sessions are fully styled, which just means I have a collection of gowns I've invested in over the years. It's currently about 230 gowns, so it does get a little crazy, but it's so fun. And for me, it kind of offers my clients an opportunity to dress up and, like, again, we're celebrating, right? Like, we're not, like, as cute as they looked in their Old Navy dress that they came to their session in. Like, we're doing this big. We waited a long time for this chance, and so dressing up and getting all dolled up and making a special occasion out of it is really important to me. Once in a while, I'll have people ask, like, do I have to wear a dress? I'm like, and that always, like, hurts my heart a little. Like, as if they, maybe we're not a good fit. And that's okay. There's lots of photographers who love that more lifestyle, more authentic photo session. But as far as the styling portion, I send them out once they book, I send out a list of referrals for hair and makeup artists. I don't personally coordinate that specifically. I used to years back. I used to include it in my package. But for me, it just makes for tricky taxes, especially in California. So I like to kind of eliminate the middleman. But I do send them a list that I feel confident in, and I can, make the connection, introduce them to my makeup artist. But I kind of let them pick whoever they are drawn to, just look at lots of styles. So they at least have kind of a starting point from there. And as far as their styling with the dresses, I have an online gown gallery. I just use Pixie Set. But I have all my dresses in Pixie Set, and then they're able to, like, click their favorites, and I can see them on my end. And that way there's no, like, potentially confusing gowns if they're like, oh, I want the purple one, or I want this one. So I love having it in Pixie Set, so at any given point I can take a look to see what images they favorited and then pull those for their session. So
I love that.
Makes it so easy. And then as far as session goes, session planning, I do love sending out kind of a little prep guide, so little things to remember, with shoes, with ironing your clothes, with, what to have the partners wear or the kids wear. It kind of puts all that information in one spot for them, and it makes it, I find like it kind of takes the stress off. When they get one whole email that says, here's your session, date, location, time, what to do, don't forget your nails, don't forget your hair, all these little things in one spot gives them kind of a point of reference, and they're not having to kind of scramble for, like, all these pieces of information elsewhere. And then I take care of the rest. They show up at their session, I bring the dresses there, we kind of go on location. So once they get to the session, I take care of the rest. But everything prior to that is really easy. It's just all done online.
I love that. Now, how do you store all the dresses? I have to ask.
So I just recently opened a studio in March. Prior to that, they were in my house, so they were taking up my master closet. Gone. Like, we didn't need to hang up clothes. We'll just put everything indoors. So master closet, my kids' closets. I had multiple racks in my garage. They were taking up my whole house.
So much space.
Yeah.
I know.
And then when we went to go move them into my studio, my husband joked. He's like, if I knew you had this many dresses, I would have rented you a U-Haul. I'm like, me too, guy. Because they were everywhere. It's kind of like when you move out of a house.
I know.
You don't realize how much stuff you have until you open up all the cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started loading them into the back of my SUV. I dropped all the benches. We're, like, loading or, like, doing multiple trips. And that's when, like, it became, like, a reality. I was like, oh, my gosh, there's a lot of gowns. So
oh, my goodness.
It's fine. We made it. Now they're all beautifully organized in my studio. I have a whole gown room, and they're in rainbow order. And it's, like, the most glorious sight walking into that and knowing kind of where to go, and I don't have to search for them. So
oh my gosh, you have to do, like, a 27 dresses montage.
Oh, my gosh. That would be so fun. That would be fun.
That'd be good on social. I'd love it.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, how do you manage balancing a family, especially because I know with beach sessions, you're going to have to shoot in the evenings or early morning. So what advice do you have on balancing your family with that?
Oh my goodness. So that definitely has been a struggle, especially in this last year as I've kind of pivoted. And for me, opening my studio has actually kind of went hand in hand with that. I was at a stage in my life where my kids are 5 and 8, so they're old enough now to question you or to say, you have to work again, you worked last night, or you worked last weekend, or, I was running into situations where I had something scheduled and then something for them would come up, like a random soccer tournament or whatever.
Yep.
I just felt like I was missing so much of these little parts of life that you can't plan. And as much as I had my sessions planned, other parts of my life were coming up and they just weren't meshing well. So I actually opened up a studio to be able to shoot more during the day while they're at school. And that did mean I was cutting back a bit on my outdoor availability. But initially it was a kind of like I was like, dang it, like I'm going to miss out on seeing so many people at once. Yeah. And then I just realized it's okay to do that. I know a lot of times, especially during a career, if you're in it kind of for the long haul and your heart is there, you have to pivot. You have to kind of change things around a little bit. Otherwise you get burnt out or you'll feel, you'll kind of be bummed that you're missing all these things every weekend. And I just didn't want to go there. So I opened up my studio to be able to take some clients into the studio, still do outdoors, about, I would say 75% of the time. And then not miss out on so much. But it's been for me kind of being able to balance that. I use a family calendar on Google with my husband, and he can kind of see when I have something scheduled, and he plans things for the kids to get them, keep them occupied. But it's definitely a balance. It's not easy, but I think it's doable as long as you kind of set expectations for yourself. And you're not, I feel like we're so hard on ourselves sometimes where you kind of want to be everywhere all at the same time and you can't. And that's like where your mental health starts to take a toll. I know it's something that you've kind of worked through as well. So I had to just kind of like let it go. Like if I have to say no to a new inquiry because I'm booked, like I had to learn that it's okay to be busy or it's okay to be fully booked. And that doesn't mean like squeeze in another one. Like when you're booked, you're booked. So it's been a growing process.
I laughed because I was like, squeezing. I was the queen of the squeeze.
Yes, always. I'm like, well, I can do 2 or 3 sessions back to back. And while you can, that you also then have to edit them. You have to communicate with those clients. So it's not just like, squeezing in an extra mini session before your full session.
No.
But yeah, it's hard, but you have to just be realistic with yourself and kind of be kind to yourself in navigating that, because especially during this time of year where it's really busy, our own lives are busy, and then you add in a really busy career. Just kind of nature of the beast with fall season. It's a lot.
Exactly. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are fairly new photographers and also seasoned photographers too. But do you have any advice for maybe having a supportive spouse while you work? Because I know that sometimes that's not always the case for photographers.
Yeah, it is not always the case. You're right. I'm so lucky. My husband's absolutely amazing with that. He knows that, it's just part of the nature of this career, and it's not an all day. We do work all day. But as far as like sneaking away for a session, I think for me alone, that's kind of the hardest part, was knowing that I'm here with your family while I'm missing my own, or I'm missing out on whatever my kids have going on. But a lot of that just came down to communication. It's like, this is what I'm doing right now for this hour, and then I'll take off the weekend. And that's kind of where I was mentioning that it's important to kind of be kind to yourself and schedule those times away ahead of time. Mark it on a calendar. Like block off an entire weekend in Sharpie if you have to, so you can't sit there and squeeze in something. But kind of communicating and balancing that ahead of time with your spouse. Because obviously, like if they're taking on that burden while you're gone, that's a lot for them too. So we do a lot of like back and forth pre-planning. I'll pre-plan whole weekends off just so everyone knows that yes, mom has a really tough, really busy week, Monday through Friday, but I have this whole weekend off. We're going to do fun things, and kind of hyping the kids up and the husband up ahead of time really has helped out.
That's awesome. You like edit like fine art in a fine art way.
I do.
So how many images are you usually given to your clients, and how long is it taking you to edit each image?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. So my sessions include 3, 6, or 10 images. I go for more quality versus quantity, and not that, they can have more. That's just kind of like my base packages. They get to choose their own images. So I show them a proof gallery, which is just images ran through Lightroom. And then once they pick those images, then I do my kind of fine art stuff. Lightroom has allowed us now with like the use of masks and stuff. I'm able to kind of get my image pretty close to the final version of it, through Lightroom, and kind of give clients a really realistic expectation for what their final image will look like. But they're able to kind of pick their images, and then I used to just like fully edit like entire galleries. And that's a lot. And obviously they're not buying that.
I know.
So from a business standpoint, I'm like, I just spent hours like editing these, and they're not. I do offer them for woodsy sessions. I offer my clients the option of purchasing the complete collection as they are. Because I've managed to kind of hone in on my shooting style, my out of camera images plus the Lightroom tweaks, and now with the addition of masks and being able to brighten your subject and darken your background, it kind of gives you that more dynamic image. My proof galleries are beautiful as it is. They don't have the skin retouching or the extra artistic flair yet. But clients are oftentimes okay with that, especially as a keepsake gallery. So they still get to pick their, let's say, top 10, and I do my magic edits on that, and then they get the rest of the gallery as is. Minus, I will Photoshop out like the gown tosser or any rogue hiker in the background. So they do have that option as well. But editing, if I'm just focusing on, let's say, 10 images, sometimes it'll take up to an hour per. My outdoor beach sessions will take an hour sometimes. And it is, it does sound long from like a kind of business perspective. I'm spending, potentially 10 hours on this gallery. But you won't be able to convince me that it's not worth it.
I know, right?
The things that I'm doing, I'm like, yes, they will see me like parting the sea, or I'm like reshaping leaves sometimes, and I realize how ridiculous that is. Like from a business standpoint, I'm like, that leaf needs to be reshaped. So it's worth it in the end. I find that the images just look so much more polished, and my clients appreciate that.
I am a fine art photographer as well, and I really find that I really enjoy the editing process at times. You kind of just get into this flow state that you look at the clock and you're like, I didn't even realize I've spent an hour on this one image. It's almost like painting.
Yes,
and
it is.
And you, I really find that. And I am an overshooter.
Yeah.
And I really struggle because I started trying to merge my fine art with my over delivering, and oh my goodness, I was spending so much time. Yeah. So at this point, I'm actually taking a year off from taking client work just to kind of get myself and figure out, what do I want to do? How do I want to have this business? And how is this going to work for me where I win and not feel like I am giving everything away for really free.
Yeah, so that's so true. I mean, photographers are so guilty of that. It's hard to kind of value your time as a creative and realize you have to charge for that. I mean,
even though you love it,
at the end of the day, it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and we have to. I mean, otherwise, it's okay to work from your heart and do these things that are amazing, but if you're doing it, to pay the bills and to make a living out of it, you have to charge for it.
So with your model calls, what is your turnaround time for them, and how do you set the expectation? Because honestly, that is something that I do struggle with. Yeah. Is that even though you've done the model call, you've done the work, and you've told them it's going to be a certain amount of time, you still get ridden.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So how do you deal with that?
So I just make that as part of their contract. I make my model calls apply, and I make them sign or fill out a contract, just like with anything else. You kind of set the expectations, what they're getting, when they're getting it. And I do put on there that the turnaround time is 4 to 6 weeks. Very rarely does it actually get to be like that. But in fairness to my clients, my model call sessions, especially if it's a creative session, those have to kind of take the back burner until I kind of get through my actual client sessions. So they know it takes a little bit longer. I do send out sneak peeks because obviously I'm just as excited about the session as they were. And I know they're at home, wanting to see an image. Plus it gives them, in posting a sneak peek, it gives them the opportunity to share that with their friends. And for me, it kind of now reaches a new network of people, which is why I do, though I've been in the industry for so long, I do still do model sessions or model calls. Even my little creative sessions, or just hey, I have a free day off session, let me just shoot a model or shoot a new gown. Ultimately, what that does is it reaches a new network of people. And that's kind of how that helps grow my business when they share it with their friends, and it's there's no connection to other clients, and now their friends see it. You get new followers, new inquiries, things like that. So for me, model calls have definitely been beneficial in kind of constantly expanding who I'm reaching.
I love that. Sorry, I had to cough again.
It's okay. It's fine.
So what would your dream session be?
Oh my gosh. So anything that involves fall or a color. So right now, this time of year especially, I love traveling to like Colorado during the fall. We don't get so much of that in California.
No.
So our falls here go from like green to dry, which then I have to edit in Photoshop, and it's fine. Like we manage it. It looks like fall by the time we're done with it. But I love like the Pacific Northwest and just any region that has that abundance of color this time of year especially. I'm so envious of my friends like back east or in like Washington, for example. Just the abundance of fall trees and color is so amazing.
Oh, I love it. I'd love to see you do a snow session.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? I did one years and years ago, but it was kind of on a whim and not at all how I would do it today, but that would be fun. We have snow only like 45 minutes away from here, so that might be on my winter bucket list.
Do it. So what do you wish more photographers knew?
Gosh, we touched a bit on this already with valuing your time. We want to kind of please everybody and do all the things and shoot all the things, and we sometimes feel bad for charging for things, whether it's the initial session fee or whether it's for extra retouching or little things. Ultimately, what we're doing is providing someone something so invaluable, and that doesn't come at a cost, right? I mean, we're giving from our own to provide to others, and that's beautiful, and it's amazing, and it's something that I know they appreciate. But you have to value yourself and your time. There's only so much of that, right? And so here we are doing all these things, and we really have to kind of be cautious with kind of how we navigate our businesses, just because you don't want to constantly be giving. We struggle with placing value on something that comes from our soul, but it's so important. It's so important.
That was a hard lesson learned with boundaries.
It is, and especially I think when you're newer to the industry, that is a hard thing to navigate. And I feel like that might be why a lot of photographers get burnt out and kind of start tapering off or drop out of the industry altogether. I feel like it's not for the faint of heart when you're in a sense working 24/7, but it's manageable if you just kind of really have expectations for yourself and your business.
Exactly. I love that. What makes your soul light up?
Oh my goodness. The way my clients react to not necessarily even the final images, but just during a session when you show them back a camera, I'm like, do you see this? Like that's you. Or when they see it and they're like, wait, is that really me? And I always like to tell them, like, I hope you feel as beautiful as you look right now, like perched up on this rock or whatever they're doing. At some point during the session, I always like remind my clients of that. Like, I hope you feel as pretty as everyone else sees you. Because, they're getting compliments from like random passerbyers or hikers or whatever. And we're all like, truly oohing and ahhing at them. But I really hope that internally they feel that as well. And I know they do. But seeing them light up with, like the image of themselves and kind of what we're capturing. I'll never forget, I had a mom she struggled for 13 years with IVF, and we got her dressed and I put her crown on her, we put earrings on her, we were at the beach, and she like grabs my hand and freezes, and she's like starts bawling. I was like, girl, you're going to ruin your makeup. But she's like, we're doing this. And she got chills. I got chills again just thinking of her. Yeah. She's like, I waited forever for this. Like, we're really doing this. I was like, we're doing it. And we're so doing it. And the entire session, she was just like cloud nine. And at the end, I was like, we did it. She again starts bawling and I'm bawling and everyone's just a mess. But like, just having them light up with that genuine excitement for what they're going through. And it's so simple for us. It's, an hour with them for the session, but to them it means so much more. And knowing that you're providing them with amazing images that they'll be able to look back on. The session's not just as simple. It's not just as simple as, going into the woods for an hour or, going to the beach for the session. Like, they've waited a long time for that, some of them. So being able to experience that with them and see their joy and giving them the opportunity to relive it through these photos there's nothing like it. It's amazing.
I love that. Great answer. So what's been the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Oh, goodness. I will tell you, for me, I had someone ask once, what is your time away from your kids worth? It was at a conference, and it was a speaker giving a speech on IPS. And I'm not an IPS photographer. I just do digital sales, and I'm okay with that. And I was listening to her during her speech, and what she mentioned is, everything that we do comes at a cost, right? Whether it's a cost to your business, a cost to your time, a cost to your mental health, everything has a cost. Doesn't necessarily have to be monetary costs, but the reason she was so passionate about IPS is that our time away as a photographer takes a toll or at a cost to other things like your family. And she said, what is your time away from your children worth to you? Like, dang, right? That always resonated with me because at that time I was charging so little.
Yeah.
Like everything I'm preaching about now, that was me back then. And I know that we all go through that, and that's totally okay. But I just, that kind of always stuck with me. I'm leaving, away for an hour session plus, the hour drive time there and the hour back, plus all the other little pieces of time when prepping for my session. That's all time away from my own family. Is that only worth $100?
Yeah.
And so that always has stuck around. It's okay for us to charge our worth, and charging it from the start even. I almost feel bad when I see photographers post I'm doing sessions for $35.
Yeah.
You're not, they're not even covering gas.
No.
So just really being able to kind of hone in on what's important to you, and is what you're doing from your, from a creative standpoint, even worth that.
Yeah. Oh, great advice. So you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, yes. I'm ready.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee all the way. What about you?
You know what? Lately it's been tea.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, peppermint tea.
Oh, okay. Peppermint tea is so good.
What is the last thing you did for yourself as an indulgence?
Oh, gosh. Got my nails done. Does that count?
Yeah.
I feel like as a photographer, I never used, during COVID, obviously that chance went out the window. And then when we got the opportunity to go back and, go into the nail salon, I felt like my hands are constantly in someone's face in the camera. They're constantly on display, holding my camera or fixing up their dresses or their jewelry or whatever. I'm I deserve to get sparkly nails. And so my nail tech always laughs. I always get glitter. You'll never find me without glitter nail polish.
I love
it's just
that.
fun. We're just constantly out there, so it's okay to have pretty fingers.
Totally. That was one thing. It was going back and getting my nails and my lashes done. I was oh my gosh. I was trying during pandemic time, I was trying to figure out how I could do it myself. It was a hot mess. Yeah. It was hilarious. I tried to do a gel set on myself.
Oh, I got it in Color Street during the pandemic. The nail polish stickers. I'm well, that worked okay. I'm there's just nothing not having to touch them for 2 weeks.
Oh gosh. What do you like to cook the most?
Anything warm and cozy, comfort foods, especially nowadays, going into the winter season. I love chicken pot pie. I love chicken and dumplings, fish tacos. Oh my gosh, you're making me hungry. It's almost
I know, right?
Anything comforting.
Love it. What 3 things do you want to be remembered for?
Oh my gosh, you and loaded questions. I want to be remembered for how I interact with people during my sessions. They kind of come to life, and their energy, we kind of jive off of each other. I'm just naturally kind of a natural hype woman for, it doesn't matter what it is, everything's exciting. And I do that in a genuine way. I'm not trying to over dramatize a situation. It's exciting. Whatever we're doing, it's an opportunity that you wouldn't have had the chance to otherwise. So I want to be remembered for the way I interact with my clients, and that I kind of hype them up, and we're genuinely excited they're excited for me in these images. Because there's nothing worse than when you show someone a back to camera and you get
yeah,
or they don't say anything. I'm gosh, give me something else. So I love being able to interact with my clients in a way that they jive off of my energy and vice versa. I want to be remembered for, giving them the chance to relive, like I said, those little simple moments, as simple as it is, standing there in the trailer or standing in the ocean in a gown. Those obviously become core memories. But they have these amazing photos on their walls that they get to like see, or, you know, these amazing tosses from that. I always hype up the husbands by saying, like, you're going to be able to, like, tell her, I did that. Like, that awesome toss, I did that. So when you have it on your fireplace, it's a constant opportunity to kind of relive that moment where we worked so hard for that toss, or we waited forever for this perfect wave to come crashing into the gown, and we got it. So that, gosh, one more. I got, you know, is it cliche to say, like, just for being an open book? I'm so easygoing with
I love it.
Whatever I know. I mean, none of us are pros at anything, so I'm always being willing to kind of talk to anybody about anything. You know, people ask, and I'm truly an open book, and I don't like gatekeep or like hold something back. I love, especially with my fellow creatives, I love kind of chit-chatting and throwing off ideas and sharing experiences, and being able to have that connection with your community, I think, is so important. And being an open book about it, it just takes so much less effort to be open and be, you know, kind of kind to each other in this industry than it does to have any animosity. So for me, that's been really important.
I love that, because that's our huge thing too, is like community over competition.
100%.
And like and that just shows also your confidence in yourself and your eye as an artist too. That you won't get, because you're like, hey, like it's how I see the world and how you see the world are two different things. And
that is so true. I love shooting. I love, like, when I do model calls, sometimes I'll do it like with a friend, or if we're all feeling burnt out, I'm like, listen, we're all going to go shoot in the middle of November because we can, even though we're all burnt out. It kind of helps you, you know, you're halfway through busy season, helps to kind of reignite your soul with all the creative energy. So sometimes I'll go with a group of friends out and shoot. And it's fascinating to see how 3 people can photograph the exact same model. And
so differently.
It'll always be so different, both creatively and just like composition and editing, and it's really fun to see. But that community over competition is definitely so important.
I love that. So I love to end my interviews just with this last question, and it is: what are you curious about or artistically curious about right now?
Oh, I am super interested currently in videography. I've been working a lot with a videographer, just in the growing need to have video incorporated into like Instagram and social media, and just in general, that's just kind of where we're headed to as a world, it seems. I started working with a videographer friend, and he's worked with me either in my own sessions, like I offer that to my clients as a kind of behind the scenes add-on, where the videographer comes with me, and he captures them in a way that photography can. It's so neat to actually see that wave crashing into them, or to actually, you know, see the gown blowing through the air. Yes, I capture that one split second of the image, but to kind of relive that moment, I think, is just so neat. So I've always been fascinated by videography, but even more so lately, in that I have these clips that I'm able to like share on my social media, and it's so neat to see that. So I'd love to kind of know more about that, get better at it, and incorporate that. I always like tell my videographers, like, I'm trying to channel my like inner Joe with like a pan from like the dress through the weeds to like coming back to my subject, and it's definitely fun and it's fascinating to explore.
I love that.
That's been really interesting.
Do you know about the turning your cell phone upside down trick?
I just, it's so funny. I just saw that in a reel. Does that work?
It's so cool. Oh my gosh, girl. You have to go out and try it. It makes everything like droney and like really cinematic. It is so cool.
So do you just videotape everything upside down, essentially?
You know what? Pretty much. I'll just flip my phone around, press record, and like I'll glide it through the weeds or like wherever, and just kind of climb up to see your subject. And then it automatically just flips around.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is fascinating.
And also, have you seen the thing that you can actually, it's like a cell phone holder that can go onto your hot shoe?
Oh, I have, yes.
It's cool. I have that. Yeah.
I'm such of an erratic shooter sometimes. Like, I'll do something, I'll put my camera down, do something to my camera down. I just cannot imagine what my footage would look like. Or just in moving it, because I don't stand there for like more than a split second. taking my shots. So I feel like I
get erratic.
Fascinated to see an actual behind the scenes.
You should check it out. You can get them on Amazon for like $13.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's just this little hot shoe cell phone. Yeah, it's like super fun. And then you just have like extra footage that you can use in reels or like just you setting up the shot that you can talk through. It's super fun and it's been really fun. And you can film it both horizontally and vertically.
Oh, I love that. So, I got a clamp that for my wagon where I can put my phone to, and it allows me to get behind the scene footage of myself with my clients, and that's been fun for them too. But I love that it's on your hot sheet. You have the more realistic kind of frame
like what
to
you're
what you're
seeing.
shooting.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Amazing.
Well, Olguta, thank you so much for joining me today.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun. Such an honor. I feel like I've been engulfed in Milky Way everything for so many years, and now to be on this side of it is like still mind-blowing to me. So I so appreciate you reaching out and for the honor.
Oh, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you probably adored this conversation just as much as I did. And seriously, my friends, I am sending you so much of my light and my love today and every single day. We'll see you next time.